Hi, it's Andy.
Hi, it's Dave.
Hi, it's Kirk.
Welcome to the A.D.K channel. Today we are doing an album review of the band of Sulfur and their album The Burden of Faith. Now I'm going to assume it's of because of it's not how we say of, but the fact that makes a lot more sense than the Burden OV Faith. So I'm going to assume it's a Burden of Faith. Comes out on the 24th of March, 2023. Now, I've not listened to this album because it's not really a genre that I would really have anything much to say about it. But
Blackened deathcore.
deathcore, death metal, some sort of extremity. I could just tell by the logo of the album, like, yeah, this is not going to be my sort of thing. But I'm going to, obviously, Andy, Kirk, you've had a chance to listen to it. So, throw it over to you, Andy.
Yeah, okay. I've not heard of this band, and as you say, the logo's quite gives you sort of an indication of how extreme the music is. I mean, I would have gone down with the name and the sort of logo style as sort of your regular sort of black metal, but as Kirk sort of said in the intro, it's a sort of blackened deathcore, which it absolutely sums it up.
Okay.
It's punishing, it's brutal. The production is really, really good. I mean, it's on Century Media, so you'd hope it would be. But yeah, out of the sort of three sort of deathcore albums we've reviewed in the last few months, this sounds, the most well produced. The sound is absolutely, absolutely brilliant. The sort of bio suggests, not that you can tell from listening to it, the lyrics are of a sort of blasphemous and anti-religious theme, which gets a thumbs up in my book. I'm quite pleased about that. But it's classic deathcore. It's got the breakdowns. It's got the really low vocals. It's got the points, like the Suicide Silence album, where the tempo gets so slow you think the track's going to, stop.
Yeah.
It's going to get stuck. The vocals are really, really good. But there's some variety as well in there because they've introduced some guests, including the unmistakable voice of Howard Jones, formerly of Killswitch Engage.
Okay.
I like the fact that they avoid the drum triggers, which is a feature of this genre. There's a very few solos, which again is a plus for me. And they've got complementary symphonic keyboards on a couple of tracks. One in particular, I Apostate, reminded me of Cradle of Filth, certainly the sort of early part of the song. But yeah, it's not a genre I'm that into, but I've enjoyed this one, very much, along with the other two that we've recently covered. So yeah, I'd recommend it as a really good album that's coming out fairly soon.
Kirk, what did you think?
Upcoming new band.
Deathcore made a comeback last year, didn't it? Really, on the back of the unforeseen rise of Lorna Shore, and then you've got Slaughter to Prevail. Alex Terrible appears on track number 2 on this album for a really good collaboration with the Off Sulfur vocalist Ricky Hoover, who's an interesting character. He was previously in a band called Suffocate. That came to an end, and I think he just expected that would be his one shot in the metal scene gone, and he returned to becoming a hairdresser or a barber. And then he formed this band with Chase Wilson, who's also the guitarist and main songwriter. And they put out an EP in 2021 called Oblivion, and then a year later, they're attracting the interest of Century Media. It really has been a meteoric rise for this Las Vegas quintet. Now, I've got to be honest, I'm already jaded by the blackened deathcore genre. I did enjoy the album last year from She Must Burn, which you two didn't really enjoy. Lorna Shore was obviously a plus point, but I think that album was too bloated. This one's not. You've got 10 tracks here. I think it comes in at less than 40 minutes. So they really do take a pause for breath and understand the listener's needs here. If you had an hour of this, it'd just be unlistenable. And that was my criticism of the English deathcore band Uzziah, their last album. 6 tracks in, I'm thinking this is excellent. It's brutal. There's a lot of shifting dynamics. 6 songs later, I'm bored to death. Almost had that impact here. I thought the first 4 tracks were ripping. Really surprised me. I'm expecting, after hearing Stained in Rot, track number 1, I'm expecting the whole album's going to be like this. I'm going to be bored within 10 minutes, and I'm not. I mean, it really is like a cyclone destroying everything in its way. Yeah, I really like the weight of the drums. I think it's overproduced, to be honest. And when you hear your death metal puritans say, I don't like deathcore because it's plastic extreme metal, this is what they're talking about. Personally, I think that's very harsh. If you're saying this is not heavy and they're cheating in the studio with Pro Tools wizardry, I don't buy that. You know, you've got to be top class musicians to play music at this standard. And the whole point of black and deathcore is to be absurdly heavy, so that those old school death metalers actually complain that it's too heavy. You know, these are the people that lived through the Floridian death metal, the English scene. Andy, you did, but you're not like that. You don't look at this music as an elitist and think, oh, they're cheating, it's not as heavy. They're just manipulating it in the studio. I didn't get that from this. I mean, I do think we've come a long way from, you know, the breakdown riff in Metallica's One, and the way that bands like Fear Factory with that Demanufacture album just use that riff and thought, we're going to create a genre out of this, that syncopated triplet action, you know, with the drums locking in on the guitars. And I think they do actually go a bit overboard at times on that. For example, the song Unraveling, track number 3, I really like the gothic mischief at the beginning with that pizzicato violin sample. And then you even get like a dramatic intro with fifth chords and drum accents. And it even goes into a bit of a tech death tangent. So that was a good song. That was one of the standouts. But there's also a song that I think you mentioned, is it I Apostate? Did you mention that, Andy?
Yeah, I heard Cradle of Filth.
Yeah.
In that one.
I did, but do you know, we said that about the English band She Must Burn with their album last year. It was basically a cross between Carnifex and Cradle of Filth, but I thought they had a bit of Meshuggah and Strapping Young Lad in them. I think it's very easy to recognise the influences in Sulfur. That song I Apostate, I think it was too predictable. You know, when they're having to say, I am the apostate, set to a long succession of syncopated triplet beats in the middle eight, I'm thinking, like, okay, we understand. To actually then have to repeat that, I thought was a bit tedious. That song with Howard Jones, definitely a standout, isn't it? His vocals are excellent on that. He uses that. It's like a tenor vocal that's almost baritone, but he's really belting. But I get the impression that he's using that technique where he's deliberately standing far away from the mic. That I really like that claustrophobic impact that it has. But he has that unmistakable trace of emotion in his voice, doesn't he? The way that he'll hold certain notes. I thought that was excellent. The last song as well, Lindsay Schoolcraft, ex Cradle of Filth. I must have reviewed 10 albums over the last 2 years that she's appeared on as a guest, because she's such a wonderful musician as a keyboardist. But I really like her mischievous, devilish vocals on the title track at the end. 6 minutes and 50 seconds. When I looked at that, I thought, oh, is this going to be a bit of overkill? No, I don't think it was. I think it's a good way to end the album. It's a solid album for me. It doesn't really challenge me, though. It doesn't take me to places where I'm thinking this is the next big thing. Let's not forget, this is a debut album on Century Media. Most metal bands would kill to be in that position, to be on one of the major labels of extreme music. And with their reach and distribution, you know, they should go far. I just think, like with all black and deathcore albums, once I get past track 6, I'm starting to look at my watch thinking, okay, how many tracks are left? Just like when I'm listening to a brutal death metal or slam record. However, what I will say about this band to wrap up, I think that they are quite intelligent the way that they're using symphonic keyboards. They're quite subtle, especially on track number 3. Where you don't even realize that they're in the mix until the chorus. Same with that song with Alex Terrible. Believe it or not, it's actually quite a dramatic symphonic keyboard rhythm that's holding it all together, but that only becomes clear in the middle 8. So there are some subtleties there. And Logan Mader, Dave, one of our favourites, ex-Machine Head, he did the guitar production, which is excellent. The black metal elements to me are those choruses where the keyboards really do take effect, don't they? And sometimes you're wondering, where are the guitars there? But they are in there, so I can understand what Logan's done there when he's engineering it. Yeah, would I listen to it again? Yeah, probably once or twice. It hasn't blown me away. I'll just end by asking you a question, Andy. What were your favourite parts of this album? What is the one element that would make you want to listen to it again?
I don't think it's one. It's just, for me, a sort of really good example of a genre that I'm not, you know, an expert in, and have got, you know, a library of albums I've heard before. So, I mean, I like the vocals. I like the breakdown, I like the musicianship as a whole. But I've got a question to throw back to you, or just personally another point. I thought the title track at the end was a little bit weak compared to the others, but maybe like you, as I'm getting towards the end, I'm getting a little bit tarnished by it all, and maybe, you know, sort of getting a bit. I mean, it's exhausting, isn't it? I think it's one of those that you mentioned, Dave, that you can't listen to start to finish, and you might pick the odd track just to sort of maybe give you a boost and, you know, give you a lift because it's got so much energy. But just a final point. I mean, I'm not seeing it that much, but I do know of this OV business. I had a quick Google. I didn't research it, and you know, there's a forum that come up with saying, well, it's from a Behemoth song, and the only other comment was because it's metal as fuck. Have you got any more to add to that as to why OV is used in black metal and deathcore? You know, occasionally. What's it trying to portray?
I've just noticed it over the last really 2 years as well, and as soon as you read it, you just think, oh, there'll be an extreme metal band, don't you? It's like when black metal bands, you know, they use the U where it looks like a V.
Yeah.
That's not from the Cyrillic alphabet, is it? But you know straight away, don't you? That's a black metal band.
Cult with a K, KVULT is another one, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So yeah, in fact, yeah, when I looked at this, it's like, it did almost put me off. I know that's not pedantic, but I'm like, oh, can I be bothered reviewing this? Probably that's why I went into this with expectation, thinking I'll probably like 3 or 4 songs, but I'll be jaded by the end of it. And it surprised me. It was better than that as an experience, Dave. That's what I would say in conclusion.
Right, well then we need to score it as we normally do. We've got the 4 scores: the either bid it, trade it, stream it, or of course buy it. So Andy, over to you. What's your score on the door?
Nothing further to add other than just say I'll be streaming it.
Stream it, okay. And Kirk, what's your score?
Yeah, I'll stream it because I think it's the right length. I think it's about 40 minutes, and there's certain things in there I'd like to listen out for or discover on repeat listens. It won't be an album of the year contender, but strong album. I think Ricky Hoover, the vocalist, deserves a lot of credit here. He is a really, really muscular performance and malevolent as well. Top quality.
Okay, well there we go. So of Sulfur and the Burden of Faith gets a stream it from the A.D.K channel. Now, if you like this video, please do like, share, and subscribe, and we'll see you on another video sometime very soon. Take care.